write like a man. Use a typewriter.
Why do you love Roger Moore so much?
Yes, we do want to know that. I mean, we do too.
Okay. Well, cool. It's kind of embarrassing, but I mean, I've told the story 100 times. I was when I used to sew a lot. I'm sewing for for fashion shows, things like that. I had an upstairs studio in this house in Little Rock, and it was beautiful. It was a wraparound window. I just missed that place. But anyway, long story short, I was up there late one night. It was around 10 o'clock, and I was watching. I love old 1960s television shows and stuff like that. So his show came on, The Saint, and I knew about Roger Moore from James Bond and all that, but he wasn't my favorite Bond. Sorry, Roger. Sean was, James Bond, he didn't really get me in there, But one day I was watching it, and The Saint came on, and then he started talking. He broke the fourth wall and started talking to the television or through the television, and I was like, "Who is that?" Because he looked so much younger. It didn't look like him to me. I didn't put them together, and so he, I was like, "Who is that? And what is this?" And next thing you know, just looking at him and watching that show regularly, he was the inspiration for my guy in this book, who was the 15-year itch. That's how this book happened.
Okay.
Was just from me watching The Saint. And awesome. He was the guy who is the one that the woman cheats on her husband with. He's like kind of like the guy he would play in some of his movies back in the day before he started doing James Bond. So he was his name was Simon in the book, like Simon in The Saint. Yeah.
In The Saint, yeah.
Okay. I got a question for you. Walk Show Productions request that I ask you about Mr. Ed.
That was a show too as a kid. Oh man, I had a crush on Wilbur.
He was pretty dapper. Yeah.
He actually dated Marilyn Monroe for a second. He dated Marilyn Monroe back in the day.
Kidding. Hey, good for him.
Alan Young,
Yeah. All right. I'm detecting.
I like Mr. Ed too. I was huge into that. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So Roger Moore, you mentioned him. I think I saw in one of your posts. You call him your male muse, which I think is great. Yeah. Which makes total sense because he was the inspiration for Simon in the book. Yes. Who would you say your female muse? If you had a female muse, who would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh man. Because my female muse, if I had one for this story that I'm writing now. Yes. Okay. Alfred Hitchcock, the movie Marnie. I don't know if you've
I haven't seen that. No.
Yeah, it's about a woman who was, I guess, she was a kleptomaniac because she was molested as a child and stuff like that. So it was really interesting, like ahead of its time type of movie. And Sean Connery was the lead role. So
he's got to watch it now.
I have to watch it. I do.
It's kind of not well known, but it's really good. It's 1964. Okay. The woman in it, her name is Tippi Hedren, the lead that she was in The Birds, if you remember.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So she was The Birds lead actress. So she again is the woman who suffers the 15-year itch in the book.
Gotcha.
She's Ava in the book. Ava, yeah. And I drew this picture. This is my original painting back from the 1991, 92, maybe. And I still have it back there somewhere. But this is what Ava would look like,
I forgot to mention that when we were introducing you. She's also a sketch artist.
Really?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's so interesting. You remind me of the polar opposite of something there's a book that I learned about earlier today. Never heard of it before, by Scott Adams called Loser Think. And it talks about how there was, and I learned about it from, I think there was like a Sam Hyde video that I was watching about this, how it talked about how there are people who, especially in today's today's day and age, which is it's so easy to just get by on technology and just exist, that like, you don't have to be good at anything. You don't have to like really develop anything. You can just float, down the lazy river of life's current. And so there are these, what you find is that the people who have high intelligence, high IQ, or whatever proclivity they have, if they're masters at something, chances are that same sort of thought process will also work in multiple other fields. And it reminds me of you. You're like the opposite of what Scott Adams is warning us about in Loser Think. You're kind of like, I mean, truly like a Renaissance woman. You know, you write novels, you do typewriters, you know, you do fashion, steampunk fashion, I think, also. That's so cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. I mean, it just, you know, the sketch artists, like the list just goes on and on. Do you find the photography, do you find that the process that you apply to one, the thought process on your end sort of applies to others across the board, or do you constantly have to retool how you approach each field because you're in so many?
Right. When it came to sketching, it was just natural to me from elementary school, so it just came to me to do. My mom thought it was weird because I would draw animal heads on human bodies and stuff. You know,
cool. Yeah.
A friend who could draw better than me, and I just kind of picked it up. That's just always how I've done. I didn't go to school for sewing. I just picked it up. And another connection to the paranormal, we want to go there about my sewing, could be my Aunt Rosie. My great Aunt Rosie is my grandmother's sister. She made all her own clothes. She was dapper. She was a beautiful dresser. Her name was Rosie. Rosie Stubblefield. Now we're Stubblefield, and that's what my cousin tells me today. Is that knowing everything that I do, she was like, "You're really a Stubblefield because we have multi talents. We're just like that, you know." And even on the Rawls end, Lou Rawls may be my great uncle. I mean, we don't have proof, but the singer may be my great uncle. He did sing at a funeral of our, you know, one of our family members. I just don't have proof. So that's why I don't go around, oh, that's my uncle.
Sure.
We do have a lot of talent on both ends, and that combines, and I guess that causes me. But let me finish about my Aunt Rosie, though.
Oh, yeah.
She passed away when I was 11. She's the reason I got my ears pierced. I mean, she did that for me and everything. And I ended up with her sewing machine. And I'm self-taught sewing. You know, everything I do is with sewing. I tried to hire people because I was just a sketch artist in high school. I would sketch a dress and they would go somewhere else and have it done. You know, because I didn't sew. You know, I wasn't interested in that. I wanted to hire a person to sew.
Yeah.
But I said, well, I can't do this. I tried hiring people. They didn't see the vision. So I just, long story short, I learned on my own. And next thing you know, I was picked up by a fashion designer who came, Koto Mamalu, who was in Project Runway. Really? She looked at my work and said, hey, I want you in my first winter show. And she put me in there, and she saw what from my own, and my ex-husband, I'm sorry, I put that in there. He bought me my first sewing machine. Okay. And that's how I made all that stuff too, was by him, you know, doing that. And God rest his soul, he passed in October of 19. So yeah. But and when it comes to my writing, I used to write skits in junior high.
Oh, cool.
So okay. I used to do that because it was this boy I had a crush on, but he didn't like me back. So I'd write mean things. I'd write whole skits and have people laugh.
We do that to this day.
Yeah.
I have all of my high school bullies in my books. They're in there. They died. They die miserably.
Horribly.
It's true. It's true.
And embarrassingly.
I think any writer should do that. It's therapeutic.
We obviously didn't get over that.
The childhood writing started, and then I just wrote off and on, and I had a manuscript called After Death. And my grandmother saw it, and she threw it away because she thought I was writing about suicide. Like I was going to kill myself. She threw it away. And never, you know, I was like, what? You know, that's crazy. I would never even think about that. And so she threw that away. That broke my heart. And then later on, of course, I just pick things up, and then I just study things, and I just it just comes to me to do that. And how I got into photography. If all this ties together, am I answering the question? I don't know if I'm.
You are.
It's great.
You're basically describing yourself as an autodidact.
Again, my buddy Mark Carbon, and he better be watching. He talking about.
He left a couple comments.
Yeah. Is he in there?
Yeah. He said hi a couple times.
Okay, so he'll tell you, he was the photographer for me when I was doing fashion design and stuff like that, and he would photograph women in my dresses, and he did it brilliantly. He's a brilliant photographer. And one day he just stopped wanting to do it. It wasn't us, it was just something he was dealing with. So we said, okay, well, Paul said, I'm going to teach you how to do photography. I'm going to teach you myself. That's my boyfriend. And I said, okay, well, I didn't even know he was a photographer. I mean, I had been with him for a couple of years at that point, and I had no idea he even knew that. He never talked about it. So he taught me all the basics and everything. And next thing I knew I started teaching myself flash, taught myself infrared, taught myself all the other stuff. But he started me with the basics. Then he taught me film photography and all that. And I got my first roll right. You know, usually your first roll is a mess, but my first roll was correct. So it just comes to me like that, you know. And autodidact, I guess they call it.
Autodidact. Yep. You are a true autodidact, Natasha.
Here it is. Speaking of infrared, my favorite picture in this book is your infrared photo of the front of St. Thomas Catholic Church.
Oh, yeah. Was it pink? Is that pink trees?
Yes. This one right here. I love this.
Oh, thank you.
This is beautiful. Look, check that out.
I know
the way she did that. It's unbelievable.
Thank
you.
So good. That was with I have a D750. The Nikon D750 that we converted to, that was converted to 590 nanometer infrared in order to do that. So, and then you still have to do some Photoshop. You still have to. Yeah.
Because it's like, it's beautifully chromatic, and then you have the pink popping everywhere. That's really cool.
You know, this book is inspirational to me because I want to go to abandoned places like this. And I want to come out with story ideas like you come out with these photographs.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're able to capture like just I'm going to say that the after essence of these places that draw all of the imagination as to what happened to get them here.
Yeah.
I want to come away with story ideas from places like that.
Yeah.
Man, it's really cool work that you're doing.
Yeah.
I really, really like it.
You know what? Another thing too about 2015, I'll never forget how I wanted to go inside these buildings so badly. I was sitting in orientation for a job that I was just starting, and I was looking through their. I don't know if it couldn't have been their computer because I was just starting. Maybe my phone, but I noticed abandoned Nashville. There was an abandoned Nashville movement too. And I was like, I want to be a part of y'all so bad. And I used to write to them and try to go with them. You know, I wanted to go with the group, but they extended a welcome on that. So
really, they're lost.
I don't know. Yeah, and all those years I wanted to do it, and then when I met Mark, like I said, he was already shooting in these places, models and stuff. And while he was shooting, sometimes I would just wander and shoot the building. You know, that's what I was mostly interested in. So yeah.
You know what the problem is probably that abandoned Nashville group is made up of transplants, not actually like locals who were raised here, born here. They probably migrated here like so many people have from other states.
And they're just using it for their own.
Yeah.
There's no like deep and
my best
appreciation for it. Well, that's one of the interesting things about what you do, you know, with the photography book is that you really are shining a spotlight on Memphis in an interesting way. I mean, every city's got it, but no one wants to talk about it, and it's got a story. Every place has got to have a story, you know. And how does it make you feel whenever you go to these places, Natasha?
It's like I want to know why it's abandoned in some of these places, like especially. I want to know more about how long that church was abandoned for. Why would you leave something like this and not make it into some sort of museum? That one church, the one with the infrared picture, it is in a rough place. Maybe that's why they won't convert it. Even the Aretha Franklin's old house. Yeah, you know, that's in the book. And I couldn't get in. I just there's this board I could get a lens through. That was it. Because there's a rumor that her old bathtub is still in there. So how I feel about it is like I just want to know. I mean, I know why she left. I mean,
sure.
But the other stuff is, you know, I want to know why. I want to every time I see a house or see a business that's shut down, I want to know the whys and whats. I want everything.
Yeah.